The alien landing. The dropship broke through the upper atmosphere of Earth, shaking with turbulence as Commander Raylick of the Zarnak species glanced at his crew with amusement, his eyes glinting with pride at their so-called mission of exploration. Though everyone knew this was a pre-invasion survey, the galaxy had labeled Earth a possible death world based on ancient rumors, but nothing confirmed still. Raylick believed they would crush it like they had crushed 100 other worlds before. This one, they landed in what was once called the Amazon forest, now overgrown beyond satellite. Imagery thicker than expected, darker than simulated models. Raylick stepped down first, his armored boots hitting the soil with a wet slap, sensors buzzing. Trying to identify the flora and fauna around them, nothing made sense. The data from their records showed nothing matching the twisted vines that pulsed like veins or the red moss that seemed to hiss as they walked past it. Raylick, second in command. Trio laughed and said, "This place smells like prey. I bet the strongest predator. Here is a flying rodent." The others chuckled, relaxing weapons held loosely, but none noticed the quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind, not even the rustle of leaves in a place this alive. The silence was a warning, but they had no reference for what Earth truly was. 2 hours into the expedition, one of the scouts named Voras disappeared. He had been sent ahead to scan a rock formation, but when they called for him, no response came back, only static. His tracker blinked twice, then vanished like something had swallowed the signal. Raylick sent 2 more soldiers to search the area, but they came back pale, covered in a thin layer of gray dust, and said nothing was there. Just his weapon dropped beside a tree that seemed to have moved since they passed it last. Commander Raylick frowned in order to regroup, still refusing to panic. He claimed Earth was playing tricks on them, maybe magnetic fields, maybe a cloaking creature still within standard Deathworld behavior, but deep down something pricked at his nerves, because even the air here felt wrong too. Heavy, too sharp, as if it hated being inhaled. As night fell, the forest transformed, not with light, but with motion. Plants opened teeth like petals, trees oozed black sap that attracted small glowing insects, which in turn were eaten by vines that moved without wind. The crew set up a perimeter of force fields, but one member on watch duty screamed once and vanished. His post untouched, his boots still standing empty where he had been moments before. Alec gathered his team and told them to remain calm. They had survived lava, oceans, acid storms, and ice beasts. No planet could match the Zarnak strength. But one of the soldiers whispered, "This place does not fear us. It waits for us. And we are not hunters here. We are bait." Ignoring the warning, Raylick activated their drone scans. The images returned were corrupted. Then a flash came through, a shape, a blur of something massive watching them from above the trees, eyes reflecting not one pair, but many, and they were not eyes of curiosity. They were eyes of judgment. Suddenly the comms went dead. The energy shields flickered. The night grew louder with snapping branches, hissing roots, growling winds that were not wind. The crew formed a circle, weapons drawn, but the darkness pressed in tighter like a wall breathing around them. Something dropped into the middle of their circle, a skull, not human, not animal, something in between, carved with symbols unknown to any database. It was clean, polished, as if waiting for them. Raylick held it up and looked around. "This is a test," he said. "Earth wants to see if we can survive. It wants to see if we are worthy." But none of his words reached his team, because one by one they began to see things, not hallucinations, not illusions, but memories. Memories from other lives, from other planets, from their fears, brought to life by the planet itself. Raylick screamed orders, but the forest did not care. Earth had judged them, and now the real test began. They had come to classify the planet, but now they were the ones being classified, and Earth was not merciful. Earth was not a death world by classification or by theory. Earth was the original, the eternal, the apex of death worlds, and had just begun to play predators of Earth. The dark forest closed in tighter as the alien scouting squad struggled to keep together. The missing soldiers were gone without trace, and the remaining felt like prey under a silent hunter's gaze. Commander Raylick fought against the growing fear that Earth was alive in ways beyond their science. The trees shifted as if breathing their trunks, bending low to brush the armored bodies, and the ground pulsed with hidden life beneath their feet. Treacherous vines coiled, ready to snap like serpent's venom dripping in slow motion. But when they tried to cut through the plants, the blades bent and shattered like glass. One of the soldiers reached for a strange flower that glowed faintly blue, and instantly his skin bubbled and burned as if the plant had teeth. No acid or poison, just pain, a living trap made to teach respect to trespassers. The squad pushed forward into a small clearing where the moonlight fell, but the silence was broken by a scream that echoed not from any soldier, but from the very air itself. A sound so raw it made their heads ache, and in that moment a wave of insects erupted from the shadows, swarming with unnatural speed, biting, burning, and blinding the aliens, who fired blindly trying to repel the attack. But their energy weapons short-circuited against the insect carapaces. Rallic ordered retreat, but the forest refused to let them go. Roots shot up like tentacles, wrapping ankles, dragging men to their doom with crushing strength. The ground beneath them became a writhing mass of worms and larvae that devoured armor and flesh alike. The cries of the trapped filled the air, and soon only a handful remained clutching their weapons and nerves. Suddenly, a great beast appeared, a massive creature with mottled skin that shimmered like water. Its eyes glowing red, it moved with terrifying grace, and when it lunged, it crushed a soldier in its jaws. Like a twig, the others fired and missed as it vanished into the thick fog of spores that drifted like smoke. But from the distance came another sound, a rhythmic beat that was almost hypnotic. The survivors turned to see strange birds the size of small dogs, their feathers sharp like knives and their beaks dripping with venom. They circled from above and then swooped down, slicing flesh and shattering bone before retreating into the trees, where glowing eyes watched from every shadow. Relic cursed his arrogance. Earth was no simple death world. It was a layered nightmare of predators and traps, each more deadly and more intelligent than the last. And worse still, the forest adapted, learning from every attack they launched. Their weapons were no match against this evolving menace. The soldiers realized they were not the hunters here, but the hunted. The planet itself was a living predator designed not just to kill but to break the spirit, to wear down the will until nothing remained but fear and submission. One by one, the aliens fell, their screams swallowed by the darkness, until only Rylak and two others remained, bloodied, exhausted, and desperate for answers or escape. In a moment of madness, Rylak ordered them to split up, hoping to confuse whatever was stalking them. But the forest twisted their paths, sending them in circles, hiding new dangers behind familiar trees. Rylak stumbled into a hollow where the walls were lined with strange carvings depicting creatures that were neither animal nor machine. They glowed faintly with a bioluminescent light and seemed to pulse with a strange energy that made the hair on his arms stand on end. His cum crackled with static. Then a voice whispered a warning from the other side. That Earth had many layers of defense, and one was the mind itself, trying to turn hope into madness. Shaking, he forced himself to move forward, his body screaming in pain, every breath a battle, as he heard the distant howls of the creatures closing. In the forest was alive with voices ancient and cruel, promising death and suffering. And yet something deeper lingered, a call to fight back. A primal urge buried in the core of this savage world. Rylak knew that if they did not find a way out soon, they would become nothing but echoes lost in the endless hunger of the Deathworld. Earth. Human encounter. Rylak moved cautiously through the thick shadows of the forest, his breath ragged from wounds and exhaustion, the air thick with the scent of earth and danger. But something else caught his attention, a faint sound, a soft step that did not belong to the beasts stalking the darkness. He froze, listening, his senses sharpened, his weapon ready. But when a figure appeared from the mist, it was not an alien nor a creature, but a human woman. Her clothes were worn but practical, her eyes calm and steady like the forest itself. She held no weapon but a simple wooden staff carved with symbols that pulsed faintly in the dim light. Rylak lowered his gun, unsure if this was a trick or salvation. She spoke in a voice that was gentle yet firm. I am Mera. You are not like the others. You are lost and hurt, but you will not die here, not yet. Earth has tested many and few survive. I will help you if you accept. The aliens had heard stories of humans from afar, fierce and relentless survivors, but none had expected to meet one alone and alive in the heart of the Deathworld. Mira did not flinch at his presence nor show fear. Instead, she beckoned him forward and led him through winding paths hidden beneath thick canopies and thorny vines. The trees seemed to part before her, as if recognizing one of their own. She told him stories of the world, the cycles of destruction and rebirth, the wars fought, not just by men but by nature itself. Mira's scars told silent tales of battles with beasts and worse. She carried traps and weapons, not for hunting but for survival, not just against animals but against the very land that sought to claim any who dared to walk it. She showed Ralek how to read the signs of the forest, how to listen to the whispers of the wind, and how to move unseen between shadows. Mira revealed the true nature of Earth was not just a planet, but a crucible forged in fire and blood, a living test for any who called it home or dared to conquer it. Humans had not tamed Earth, they had adapted to it. They had learned its language, pain, and perseverance. Their ancestors, born in the ashes of countless disasters, had become warriors not through strength alone, but through understanding and respect. The alien's mind raced with disbelief and awe. He who had come to judge and conquer now saw a world where humans were not weak prey, but masters of survival with a deep bond to the planet itself. Mira told him of ancient shelters hidden beneath mountains and ruins of civilizations that tried and failed to bend Earth to their will. The stories spoke of alliances between humans and creatures of the forest, of battles where the planet itself rose against invaders and where only the relentless endured. As they walked deeper, Mira paused before a great tree, its bark etched with glowing runes. She placed her hand on it and closed her eyes, whispering words older than memory. The tree responded with a gentle hum, a pulse of life that seemed to welcome Ralek or warn him. He felt a strange calm mixed with awe and fear. This was Earth speaking in a language beyond words. Mira looked at him and said, "Earth does not need to conquer, it only needs to remind. Earth does not forgive, Earth remembers. And Earth waits." The alien wondered if he could return to his people and tell them the truth. Would they believe that Earth was not just a death world, but a living judge, a master of warcraft, unlike any other? The woman who had saved him spoke quietly. "You have a choice to make. You can join us or leave and risk the destruction that follows. Those who come without respect become victims. Those who come with honor may find allies, but none escape the price of this world." Ralek looked at the horizon, where shadows shifted and the night seemed to pulse with hungry eyes. He knew his mission had changed forever. Earth was no simple target to be crushed, but a living nightmare and perhaps a harsh teacher. He accepted Mira's help, knowing it was the only way to survive and learn the real story of the Deathworld. Called Earth, Ralek moved through the thick underbrush with a mixture of caution and exhaustion, his breath shallow and ragged from wounds and fatigue. The dense forest around him seemed alive in a way that defied all his training. Every sound felt amplified, every shadow stretched longer than possible. Suddenly a soft footstep echoed behind him, and he spun, raising his weapon ready to fire. But the figure that emerged was not one of his alien kind nor a creature of the forest, but a human woman. Her eyes were sharp and steady, calm, as if she belonged to this wild place. Her clothes were worn but functional, marked with scars and dirt that told stories of survival rather than weakness. She did not carry a weapon, but a wooden staff carved with symbols glowing faintly in the dim light. Her presence was unexpected and unnerving, yet there was something about her that demanded trust. Mira said her name, and her voice was gentle yet carried the strength of someone who had faced countless dangers. She told him she had been watching him since he arrived, and that Earth had chosen to reveal itself through her. She warned that the forest was no ordinary place. It was a living labyrinth full of predators, not all of them beast or plant, but some born of the planet's ancient fury. Mira explained that humans were not conquerors of Earth, but its survivors hardened by centuries of pain and loss. They did not Tame the land but learn to walk with it through scars and blood. Their ancestors had fought wars against the wilds that would break lesser beings. They had weapons fashioned from bone and stone traps laid with cunning and patience and knowledge. Passed down in whispers and scars, Rylak listened as Mira led him through winding paths, hidden beneath the towering trees and twisted vines. The forest seemed to acknowledge her presence, branches parting and shadows retreating as if obeying an unspoken pact. She showed him how to read the signs of the forest. The subtle changes in the wind, the way the moss clung to the north side of trees, and the hidden trails left by creatures too fast and cunning to be seen. Mira revealed stories of ancient shelters carved into mountainsides and caves where entire communities had survived great storms and beasts that roamed the surface above. She told him of old wars fought not just by humans, but by the planet itself, where nature rose as a weapon and only the toughest endured. Through her eyes, Rylak saw a side of Earth never captured by their scanners or data archives. A brutal beauty born of endless struggle and relentless survival. The scars on Mira's arms told silent tales of battles fought against predators far deadlier than any Zarnak foe. Her calm was born of pain and perseverance and a deep connection to the savage land she called home. As they walked deeper, Mira paused at the base of a massive tree, its bark etched with glowing runes that pulsed faintly with life. She placed her hand on the rough surface, whispering words older than memory. The tree responded with a gentle hum vibrating through the ground into Rylak's bones. He felt a strange calm, mingled with awe and fear, as if Earth itself was speaking in a language beyond words. Mira looked at him and said, "Earth does not need to conquer, it only needs to remind. Earth does not forgive. Earth remembers and Earth waits." The truth hit Rylak like a storm. His mission to claim Earth for his people was no longer simple conquest. It was a trial by fire where only respect and resilience could grant survival. Mira offered him a choice: to join the humans and learn the true ways of Earth, or to leave and face destruction alone. The shadows shifted around them, and hungry eyes watched from the darkness. Rylak understood that whatever path he chose, the planet would judge him harshly, but he chose to trust Mira to survive and to carry the Earth's secret. Rylak followed Mira deep into the heart of the forest, where the light barely touched the ground and shadows clung like living things. The air grew colder and thicker with ancient power as they descended into a hidden cave concealed by roots and vines. Mira moved with confidence while Rylak felt the weight of the unknown pressing on him. She told him this place was a sanctuary, a memory of Earth's long history carved into stone by those who understood its true nature. Walls of the cave were covered with murals painted in vibrant colors that glowed faintly in the darkness. The images showed great battles between creatures that were part beast, part spirit, and humans, who fought alongside the land itself. Scenes of fire and flood of monsters clawing from the depths and skies, the rise and fall of civilizations long forgotten. Rylak saw ships like his own crashing into forests, swallowed by giant roots, and skies filled with strange lights that seemed to warn of doom. Mira explained that Earth was older than any record, suggested it had survived cataclysms that reshaped its surface repeatedly, and each time the planet grew stronger and deadlier. The murals told of alien visitors like him who came seeking conquest but were turned to ash or madness by the relentless planet. The humans were not the first warriors of Earth, but they were the last survivors chosen by the land itself to endure the endless cycle of death and rebirth. Mira's voice softened as she spoke of her ancestors who had made pacts with the spirits of the forest, trading strength for knowledge and protection. These bonds created a harmony that allowed humans to walk through death unafraid. But it was not peace, it was constant war against a world that refused to be controlled. Rylak touched the mural of a great tree, whose roots wrapped around a city crumbling into dust. He saw figures beneath the tree, praying or fighting or falling to their knees in defeat. Scene shifted, and he felt the pulse of the tree as if it still lived somewhere in the forest beyond time. Mira told him this was the heart of Earth, a source of power that connected all life and death on the planet. It was the reason Earth was not just a place, but a force to be reckoned with. A sudden tremor shook the cave. Dust falling from the ceiling and a distant roar echoed through the tunnels. Mira grabbed Rallick's arm, warning him that the planet was restless, that ancient forces were waking to defend their domain. The secrets he had uncovered were not meant for outsiders, and those who delved too deep risked becoming part of Earth's endless hunger. As they ascended back toward the surface, Rallick realized that Earth's secret was more terrifying than any weapon or alien fleet. It was a living judgment. A planet that tested all who dared to survive on it and passed harsh sentences on the unworthy. Mira looked at him and said, "Earth does not need armies or technology. It has time and willpower and a fury that outlasts stars. Your people think conquest is about power, but here it is about endurance and respect." Rallick felt a shift inside himself. The arrogance of an invader replaced by the humility of a learner. He knew that the truth he carried was a burden and a warning. The greatest Deathworld was not one to be conquered, but to be understood and respected, or else it would consume all who came with pride and violence. Earth waited silently, watching every step and every choice as the final test began. Alien Command Betrayal. Commander Rallick returned from the depths of Earth's secrets, burdened with truths heavier than any armor he had worn. His mind raced with the knowledge. Mira had shared the murals, the ancient battles, the living heart of the planet itself. But the mission was clear. His leaders expected a report that would pave the way for invasion, conquest, and domination. He knew the truth would be rejected, and worse still, he feared the wrath of his own people for questioning the greatness of their empire. The journey back to the dropship was a battle against time and the ever-watchful Deathworld. Earth itself seemed to resist their departure. Trees bent low, blocking paths. Roots writhed like snakes, and unseen eyes tracked every move. Rallick's thoughts were interrupted by a message from his commander, a cold voice demanding immediate data and assurances. Earth was not a threat. The moment to deceive had come, but Rallick's soul rebelled. He crafted a false report, filled with praise and lies, painting Earth as a challenge easily overcome, yet within every word lay a warning hidden like a whispered prayer for those who would listen. When the dropship lifted off the planet's surface, Rallick stared back at the swirling green and brown vastness below, knowing the story was far from over. His leaders were blind to the living fury beneath the forests and oceans, and their arrogance would bring ruin. The command center of the Zarnak fleet was a fortress of steel and lights, but beneath the surface political tension brewed. Rallick's falsified report was met with celebration and plans for invasion, but not all agreed. Among the council was Commander Veshka, a ruthless officer who saw Rallick's hesitation as weakness. She pressed for immediate action, mocking his warnings as fear and superstition. Veshka sent a special envoy to Earth disguised as a diplomat, with orders to silence Rallick and crush any opposition. The envoy arrived unnoticed, blending with the planet's shifting shadows, but Earth had changed. Those who entered without respect found only traps and death. The envoy's ship vanished without trace, fueling rumors of Earth's wrath. Meanwhile, Rallick struggled with his conscience, torn between loyalty and survival. Mira's words echoed in his mind. Earth does not forgive, Earth remembers, and Earth waits. His communication with her was cut off by the growing interference of his fleet's technology, as if the planet itself fought back. His crew grew restless. Whispers of betrayal spread as Veshka's agents moved to isolate Rallick. The final confrontation came when Veshka herself descended to Earth's orbit, commanding a fleet armed to obliterate the planet. She demanded Rallick's surrender and threatened destruction if he did not comply, but Rallick refused, knowing that surrender meant doom not just for him, but for all his people. The planet responded with fury. Massive earthquakes shattered the ground. Storms of lightning tore through the skies, and packs of creatures long hidden emerged to challenge the invaders. The battle was brutal, not just between ships and weapons, but between the arrogance of an empire and the relentless will of a living world. Rallick fought alongside Mira and the humans who appeared from the shadows, their weapons brutal, their resolve unbreakable. Together they showed the true meaning of survival and respect. the commander. Veshka was captured and brought before the human leaders who offered her a choice to learn or perish. She chose to fight and was swallowed by the unforgiving forest, a lesson carved into the history of Earth for those who dared to ignore its warning. Rolik's defiance inspired others to question their leaders, and some turned away from the path of conquest, choosing instead to understand Earth's secret strength. The war was far from over, but the tide had shifted. Earth was no longer a silent death world, but a roaring force with allies forged in pain and resilience. Rolik sent a final commander. Rolik stood at the edge of a shattered battlefield. The sky above churned with angry clouds. Lightning flashed, revealing the twisted forms of fallen ships and shattered trees. The air was thick with smoke and the cries of the wounded, but what caught his attention was the slow, steady approach of humans emerging from the shadows like ghosts born of the forest itself. Their eyes were fierce and unyielding, their bodies marked by scars and battle paint. They moved with a purpose that spoke of ancient grudges and hard-earned victories. Rolik had seen humans fight before, but never like this. These were not mere survivors, they were warriors born of chaos and pain. Their weapons were crude but effective, crafted from bones, sharpened stones, and metals reclaimed from the ruins of their ancestors. Some wore armor made from thick hides and twisted vines. Others bore tattoos that seemed to pulse with the life force of Earth itself. They did not rush blindly into battle. Instead, they struck with precision and cunning, hitting the alien forces where it hurt most, disrupting their technology and breaking their ranks. Mira stood beside Rolik, her calm replaced by a fierce determination. She commanded small bands of fighters moving like shadows through the wreckage, calling down the fury of Earth on those who dared to defy it. The alien commander, Veshka, once proud and ruthless, now found herself captured and brought before the human leaders. Her pride shattered as they offered her a choice to join their cause or face the unforgiving wrath of the land. She chose defiance and was swallowed by the forest, her screams echoing as the trees closed in a grim reminder of Earth's judgment. The battle raged on, but slowly the tide turned. The aliens, who had once scoffed at Earth's dangers, now fell to traps and ambush laid with deadly patience. Humans fought not just with weapons, but with the spirit of their ancestors, channeling the raw power of the planet into every strike. Rolik realized that his people were outmatched not by technology, but by a bond stronger than any machine, a connection to a world that refused to be conquered. The survivors among the aliens begged for mercy and knowledge, pleading with Mira and the humans to teach them how to survive and respect Earth's fury. The humans did not answer with words, but with actions, guiding the aliens through rituals and lessons that tempered their arrogance into humility. Rolik watched as his commanders transformed from conquerors into learners, understanding finally that survival on Earth was not given but earned through respect, endurance, and unity. The commander sent a message back to his homeworld, not as a call to war, but as a plea for peace, a warning that Earth was a force unlike any other, and only those who walked with honor could hope to endure. As the storm cleared and the sun broke through the clouds, Rolik felt a new hope rising in his heart. Earth had tested them all, and those who survived were bound forever by the trials of the Deathworld. A new chapter had begun, where enemies could become allies and a planet once feared became a home to those who respected its power. The final message. Commander Rolik sat beneath the towering ancient tree that Mira had shown him long ago, the one that pulsed with the life of Earth itself. The battle was over, but the scars ran deep in both the land and the souls of those who had fought to survive. The air was still thick with the scent of rain and smoke, and the forest seemed to hum a quiet song of victory and warning. Rolik took out his communicator, the device meant to carry his final message to the stars. But what he was about to send was not a call for conquest or glory, but a confession and a plea. His fingers hovered over the keys as memories flooded his mind, the lost comrades, the humans who had saved him, the endless trials, and the harsh truth that Earth was not just a planet, but a living judge, an ancient force that demanded respect and resilience. He began to speak, his voice steady, but filled with the weight of truth. To my people, and to all who listen, I bring a message not of triumph, but of caution. Earth is not a death world by mistake or myth. It is the only death world. Born of fire, blood, and endless struggle, this world does not yield to invaders or conquerors. It tests all who arrive and passes judgment with unyielding fury. Those who come with pride and weapons will be broken. Those who come with honor and understanding may endure. We came as conquerors, but we leave as humbled survivors. The humans are not weak, but forged in the crucible of pain and survival. Their bond with Earth is deeper than any alliance we have known. It is a bond born of respect, sacrifice, and the will to endure. The planet itself is a living force, a guardian of its own destiny. It remembers every wound and forgives none. We urge all who hear this to heed the lessons we learned the hard way. Earth is not a prize to be taken, but a trial to be respected. To those who seek conquest, know that you face more than a planet. You face a living judgment that will not forget and will not forgive. We leave with hope that our mistakes serve as warnings, and that someday those who come with humility will find allies among us and among the wilds of Earth. Raleigh paused and looked up at the sky where stars twinkled cold and distant, but somehow less intimidating. Now he thought of Mira and the humans who had changed everything, and felt a strange kinship with them, born not from blood, but from shared survival. The message ended with a call for peace and understanding of fragile hope that the future might hold more than war and destruction. A new chapter for his people and for Earth was beginning, one built on respect, resilience, and the hard-earned wisdom that not all battles were won with weapons. Some were won with humility and courage. The forest around him seemed to breathe with approval, a living testament to the power of endurance and the price of arrogance. Raleigh stood and prepared to send the message, knowing that it might change the fate of worlds or be ignored in the endless expanse. But he was certain of one thing: Earth was not a death world in name alone. It was the ultimate trial, and only those willing to learn its lessons would survive. The final transmission echoed through space, carrying a warning, a story, and a hope that the legend of Earth would no longer be one of fear, but of respect and resilience. Commander Raleigh stood beneath the ancient tree, its vast roots entwined with the earth like the very soul of the planet. He held the communicator close, ready to send a message not of conquest but of truth. The war was over, but the lessons were written deep in scars and memories. The air around him hummed with quiet power, as if the planet itself listened to his final words. He spoke to his people and to all who might one day come to Earth with a voice steady and heavy with the weight of what he had learned. Earth is no ordinary death world. It is the ultimate trial, forged in fire and blood, where pride is broken and only respect grants survival. Those who arrive with weapons to conquer will face judgment fierce and unyielding. Those who come with honor may find a home, but never without cost. The humans who walk this land are not weak prey, but warriors born of endless struggle. Bound by a bond with Earth that is older than any star, they survive because they understand that the planet remembers every wound and forgives none. This message is a warning and a hope that someday those who seek Earth will come with humility and wisdom, not arrogance and greed. The forest whispered approval around him, the living heart of a world that demands respect and will never be tamed. Raleigh raised his hand and sent the final transmission into the vast silence of space, knowing that the fate of many worlds might hinge on its truth. The legend of Earth would no longer be one of fear, but a story of resilience, endurance, and the power of humility. The message ended and silence returned, but in that silence was a promise that Earth waits and watches and judges all who dare to call it home. The end.